Well, hello everybody, and welcome to That Dog Training Show with Tanya Yarbrough, and that is me. And this is our 50th episode, and I'm going to call it What the Squeak. So, this is where we talk about dogs that we love and the stupid human behaviors that we don't, also known as shubs. I just want to announce that this weekend, actually starting Friday, May 1st, at Blue Collar Working Dog, they're opening their new location and closing their old one, and it's just around the corner from where they were. It's at 1328 Lakeshore Avenue in Los Angeles. The zip is 90026 for your GPS. And it was set up, it was written up in the Trend Hunter .com, I think. It's a lifestyle magazine, and it is a new interactive store. So it is warehouse size with natural lighting and lots of good stuff for the serious dog trainer and owner. And it has all kinds of goodies for the dogs, like hanging toys. It has the agility stuff like 2 A-frames to run up and down, and weave poles and a jump and all that kind of stuff. So it's perfect for like playing with your dog and also getting some really good stuff. Amazing selection of quality food, including raw food, and they're going to open up a whole new bunch of training and seminars, and they've amazingly expanded, and it's something to experience. By the way, although there are weave poles and all that in the store, you must keep your dog on a leash, so we don't have any mishaps, and just make sure everybody's safe. But anyway, so that opens on Friday, May 1st, for their soft opening, where everybody's, frantically trying to figure out their POS system. It just happens to everybody. I've been into so many soft openings of restaurants. So go check it out, harass the salespeople, give them a smile, and see what you can find, because it's pretty cool. Anyway, I will also be adding a whole bunch of classes starting May 16th, CDC prep and distance obedience, movie tricks. I'll be adding also a Wednesday class for those who have children to pick up and can do a midday, like a 12:30 time on Wednesdays instead of the weekends. So anyway, that's coming up. You'll see that on their website at www.bluecollarworkingdog.com. All right, so here we go. Today's episode, What the Squeak. It's all about how dogs are interested in the squeaky toy and what's the deal with that. I'm going to start off with letting you know that I've referenced a couple of articles, so you can look them up yourself. One is Why Do Dogs Love Squeaky Toys, posted by Abby Rosenberg. It's Rosenberg on January 21st, 2013. It's on petmeds.com under their Spotlight feature. I don't know if that's a double, that's redundant. Anyway, their Spotlight tab. Anyway, the Dog Squeak Toy and Dog Behavior Answers, that's the other article I refer to. The tagline is A Dog Squeak Toy, Innocent Fun, or a Gateway to Neurotic, Obsessive, or Aggressive Behavior. That was posted by the Dog Whisperer of MN, which is Minnesota, folks, September 6th, 2013. Anyway, so this is how all started by my own. I just adopted a puppy. We named her Yonkers, and she was 8 weeks old when I picked her up. But I met her like a day short of 6 weeks, and that was on a set with the Humane Society PSA that's not yet out, so I can't give you any details. But I was there as the head animal wrangler, and I spent 2 days with just lots of puppies, like 12 to 20 at a time. Lots of puppies. And it was my job to not only check their welfare, but also to make sure that they were motivated to do the stuff we needed them to do on camera. So I was basically kind of training them on the spot, which is, with puppies, pretty hard to do. But it got done. It was a pretty long day for everybody. So how do you train these puppies and keep them motivated on this scary set, on this new environment they've never been on? And there are 3 basic ways: touch, praise, food, and squeakers. Yep, even puppies, right? I mean, who would have thought? The squeakers with puppies who have little or no experience with toys in their short lives. So where does this come from? How is it that even little tiny puppies who've only been alive for less than 2 months can respond to squeakers? The deal is that there's this theory that because the squeaky toy mimics the sound of an injured or dying animal, this kicks in the predatory nature or instinct of the dog, its hunting instincts. Of course, there's a lot of people who think that's a horrible idea because dogs are domesticated, they're not that closely related to wolves, they're only scavengers. I disagree. So, the theory is that that's why the squeaker is such an important feature. This is why companies spend money, not much, but some money, putting that little plastic valvey balloon thing inside of a whole bunch of different kinds of toys and creating a squeaky noise. I even had a $10 loofah dog that was very large. It was like 5 feet long that I got from Walgreens, I think it was. And it had a squeaker the size of a football in it. And if you stepped on the squeaker and then released it, it sounded like a dying cow. And my dog loved it. And she was only the size of this toy. I mean, she was only 25 pounds. I mean, like, seriously, like she's going to get a cow, right? But something about that sound made her go crazy. And it's true with a lot of squeaky toys. So I'm looking at little Yonkers now that I have her. And she's into the squeaky toys. And it was an easy way to divert her attention when she was getting into trouble, etc., etc. And I'll go into all this stuff. So, when you think about this, puppies don't have the experience of hunting either. You might take a dog off the street who maybe had to hunt for their food if they were stray for a while, but this is not something they associated with learned behavior or experiential behavior. So this was true when I took little Yonkers at 8 weeks old, and she could run to the sound of a squeaker from across the room and tackle the toy in my hand, and it increased her excitement and motivation. And obviously that's what I used on the set as well. And then something changed with her. About 3 or 4 days ago, she had discovered that she could make the toy squeak all by herself while chewing on it. Now that she's 9 weeks old and a little larger, a little more coordinated, and had a stronger bite, she can kick ass, right? So once she discovered that she could bite down and squeak, then bite down and squeak, and bite down and squeak, she seemed to go into this zone where she pulsated her bites and her eyes were kind of glazed over, which many of you have probably seen with your adult dogs as well. And there's this sort of like, they're somewhere else. They're clearly somewhere else. So this leads me to what many people consider a second theory of why dogs like squeaker toys. To me, it is not a separate theory. It just reinforces the first one. But you make your own judgment because I don't know everything. So it's the to me it's the what so-called second theory is a natural progression of the genetically coded instinct to respond to the sound of a dying animal. All right, so nonetheless, here it is. The squeak of a toy is a reinforcement for the chewing, hunting, killing behavior that is natural in dogs. Great. I say, well, why is it a reinforcement? Because it's a natural or primary reinforcer for dogs. The squeak means there's going to be food soon. So, and for those of you who are, not really sure they agree with this, I'm going to play some little sound effects here, found affectionately on YouTube. Here's the actual sound of a squeaker toy. It's a very innocent sounding squeaking toy, actually. Here's the sound of a screaming rabbit who doesn't like being picked up. Except for the laughing people. And then there is the predator call to get a coyote out or whatever. This is to bring them into play. Here we go. Here we go. Are we ready for this one? This is fake. But clearly realistic enough to actually make a wild coyote come out of hiding so it can be shot. I know, you're all pissed off at me now, but that's too bad. The reality is that dogs are hunters and predators, and this is what turns them on. So there it is. Toy manufacturers for dogs figured this out, and they created a little valve that reinflates itself every time it's released, so that, kind of like a whoopee cushion, it reinflates itself every time it's released, so that the dog gets the sensation of this predator-prey situation. That's what toys are for, folks. In case you didn't know, that's the deal. Dogs are not vegan. It doesn't work that way. So, you can put a squeaker in a broccoli, but you're still, making them think that it's a rabbit. Okay, so, here's the other thing I want to remind people of, just in case you didn't know. Chewing itself for dogs is self-reinforcing. So every time a dog gets to chew on something, the act of chewing itself is a reward all by itself without the squeaker. So once a dog starts chewing on shoes and things like that, it makes it really hard for the dog not to keep desiring to chew on your shoes. So that's why it's a really good idea not to give the dog an opportunity to chew on these things when you would really want them to start chewing something else. Once they start, they have a really, really hard time stopping. They crave it more and more. It's a bad habit. Well, with that same concept, you take a chew toy with a squeaker in it, you have now got a very powerful, addictive object in your home. I mean, we're talking like crack. So, with that, there is a lot of benefits, but there can be some bad side effects to this. Like any other thing in moderation and context, all has something to do with whether something is good or bad. So, all right, so once that squeak is given, right, we've got chewing going on with the toy, then there's a squeak so they every time they chomp down, so that makes it even more powerful, and it just can lead, just so you know, it's easier for a dog to become obsessive or possessive of the squeaky toy. We've seen this all the time. They don't want you to have it, they don't want other dogs to have it, they go to the dog park, they steal it from other dogs, it turns into a fight, you start yelling at your neighbors, it's very ugly. So for some dogs who have naturally a very high prey drive, this kind of squeaky toy, obsessive, possessive thing that they can get into can lead to a bit of aggressive behavior over the toy or toys or in balls and whatever in general. So the high prey drive dog will get a bit of natural high off that sensation of chewing and the sound of killing, quote unquote, the prey, right? So the question is you've got to look at when you've got squeaky toys and things like that, do you have a high prey drive dog? Do you have a high prey drive dog? Every dog has their own little, they all like to hunt and kill to a certain degree. They all like to eat. They all like to, play, etc. But every dog is different in terms of like the scale, what's more important to them. If your dog finds that hunting and trying to kill and chew a prey is like extremely exciting, we have to be careful with how we use our toys, especially squeaky toys, around these dogs. I would say you need to be careful with all the dogs, but the ones with very high prey drive, you're going to be careful. And I'll go in through this one in a little more detail. I personally, as a trainer, have experienced dogs with high prey drives who have unfortunately transferred their desire for that high of chewing and killing their prey onto a smaller dog in the same pack or any small dog in their presence. So this is something to watch out for if you just have a dog that has a tendency to have a high prey drive. They don't have to be in the mode to be hunting, but as soon as they get a high on adrenaline and like hormones, they get excited, for instance. They go after something that will give them some satisfying feel and sound when biting down on it. So all they have to do is, like, say, for instance, your dog, if you have a high prey drive dog, they're getting excited just waiting for the leash, to put the leash on and go for a walk. And they're just getting wound up, and they're just getting wound up. And then they get so wound up that they go after something to, like, satisfy or continue building that drive of adrenaline and other hormones, and sometimes that ends up being your other dog, which is smaller. So that's what I'm talking about. This sort of activity may seem to be a very harsh thing for people to hear about dogs. A lot of people that's not PC for me to do that. I get in trouble that way because a lot of people will go, oh, now you're going to start talking about certain breeds, etc. No, actually, I am not. But I'm talking about a particular desire for particular dogs, and it's individual, and it may be actually influenced by their breed, but it's not breed specific. So don't get all your panties twisted up in a wad at this one. But to be fair, not all dogs are exactly the same temperament and have equal drive for all reinforcers and motivators. So